What's up everyone, it's Jan Bors, new video, new podcast video. This one will be probably a long one, so this is for the patient ones of you because I really would like to talk about national selection, national selections actually, their importance, the way how to create them, what they are creating actually by existence. We can see that there are much more national selections than ever. Most of the countries or the majority of countries are doing national selections. Of course, I can look at each of the example and say like they are doing it right, wrong, or it's just a one-shot wonder or something like this. But this is not really part of this podcast. I will try not to talk about the concrete examples that much, but more likely for you to understand what everything by existence of national selections is happening. And also, I will probably not really talk about the internal selection. For this, I will probably create another podcast because, of course, everything has its pluses, the strengths and weaknesses also. And it all comes with the bigger concept. So I will be following actually what I've written in here. So for you not to get lost, especially for me not to get lost because you know me already and you know when I start talking about something, I switch to something else and then I will never come back to this topic. This is very typical for my mind it's just drifting, very, very much. That's why I need to have a little bit of structure. So this will be kind of a slow podcast. It's not about to be funny, but more likely give you information, give you things to thought about. And of course, if you're not subscribing this channel, please do it. Support me. You can give me super like. You can become a member to have exclusive access to my videos and also some exclusive content for you, which, for example, now there is the full video of Dora without cut. There is a full video of Luxembourg national selection and so on and so on and so on, exclusive just for members in the full length, because this is how I also go against some restrictions and so on, because those videos cannot be really monetized and so on, and I really want to be transparent towards you. This is very important also for this topic in general, but let's start. So what national selection is? It's a non-licensed format, which means it doesn't cost the broadcaster anything to pay, because normally if you buy, I don't know, Voice, X Factor, whatsoever, what other shows, Strictly Come Dancing, even Eurovision, basically, you're paying license fee. It's not just for be able to use the brand somebody invented, but also for using instruments somebody invented and apply them to your show, basically making it so the same as somebody else already did. You kind of get this manual how to create this show from somebody else, and then you basically just follow this recipe, and you need to follow this recipe because this is what you're actually buying, but you're spending a lot of money to not just having this opportunity but also to broadcast it, and most likely you're paying for a number of broadcasts and so on and so on. And it's not a cheap thing to do. With having Eurovision national selection, you don't pay any fee. You don't need to pay for licensing. You can create your own rules, you can treat it your own way, and you can create the brand itself regarding the fact that you are using still Eurovision branding. So kind of this comes with the fact that you're part of the EBU and part of Eurovision brand, and you can simply use it without paying any extra money for this. So you can save those costs to improve, strengthen such a national selection process, and also no one really forces you to use Eurovision in its naming, and we see on many examples that they are not having this because their roots are, for example, more really coming from the shows which they're already invented, like Hungary has Dal is still existing. It's a traditional musical show for original music in Hungary. We have Sanremo, we have Melody Festivalen, and we have many others. Some of them more or less connected to Eurovision, but they don't use Eurovision in their name. They are more like prestigious for the country itself, with the bonus being at Eurovision. So this is from the beginning. The other note I wrote in here is that it's very essential, because if it's used for a national selection for Eurovision or with the bonus being participating at Eurovision, it's the original content. This is very important to say that most of the show, for example, shows on the commercial TVs, they are licensed, and therefore they come with the rules that basically, I don't want to really say karaoke shows, they are, but they are interpretation shows. So they are not coming with original content, they are coming with the well-known content interpreted by somebody else, basically not giving any opportunity to any other creator to bring in something new, more likely. This is a big essence of national selections, because they bring not just original content in terms of music, but also original content in terms of how, like visuals, for example, but also how many people needs to work on it and for how many opportunities is created. I will get to this a little bit later. And also, it's very important that the televisions are using this because they need to fill some scheduling programming of television broadcast, TV station, and so on. And they have the show there. Some of them they have one show, some of them they have more shows, some of them they have continuations, some of them they are trying some experimental things, and so on and so forth. So you have with just this opportunity that you're part of Eurovision and you're thinking about how to select an artist. If you do it the public way, as a TV show, for example, you're giving yourself a big space how you can fill your own programs and therefore create a marketing strategy around it, and so on and so on and so on and so on. You already can find out that this is extremely complex topic. It's not just about one thing, but it's about many, many other things connected to it. And I think this is extremely important. This was always very important for me, that you're creating such a brand which just creates so many other areas, or filling so many other areas, giving so many job opportunities, and so on, that it's not just about selecting an artist, even though this is the main goal of the show, or this is the peak of the show, this is the revenue of the show, or how to say the final prize of the show, that you have one winner and one winner is representing the country. But with the national selections, it comes much more opportunities to do just much more stuff and things about it. Just think about it in this more complex way, and I will continue of going through my list. So first of all, what is very important, that national selection is creating stuff, and it's a platform, kind of, right? It's a platform for the artist, but not just, and I just wrote some notes. It's a platform for original and a new music. It's a platform for artists to sing live to wide audience. With this, it's also very important to say that artists, they don't really have so many opportunities nowadays to sing to really wide audience, the audience which is not even covering their target audience. I think this is the most important thing, because of course you can say YouTube, Spotify, social media, and so on, but there they are affecting their own audience. On concert, they are going their fans, their audience. It's an event. It doesn't matter if they are international acclaimed or not. It's local thing, and so on. But with national selection, you are talking to the audience which would probably never reach you also, and you can catch completely new audience and therefore become famous, which is, in my opinion, an ultimate goal for any artist who is doing music, because this is basically how they sell it. They probably want to be famous, they want to be known for how good music they are doing, and having this legacy dream come true. So this is for this fact. It's a platform for creators to show their skills. And now this is the most important part from my perspective, which no one really talks loud about. But creating a national selection, it's not just about the artists. Of course, they are in front of the cameras, they are the ones you are voting for, their music is the one you're craving for, but it creates completely different setup opportunities for other people around it who can then become famous in their areas of industry of work. And those are like television creators, directors, light designers, stylists, prop makers, but also music creators, right? Composers, lyricists, managers, and so on. For all of those people surrounding the artist, surrounding the show, this is a huge opportunity to shine, to show some new skill, new stuff, new work experience. And because the range is also kind of wide, it can bring in much more creators. It's a platform for social media guys, for the guys who are doing advertisement and marketing. So Imagine this as a absolutely complex things where the focus, of course, is the person in front of the camera, but also it's extremely important the whole stuff around it and the people who can grow with it. So the star can grow, the artist can grow, but also can grow some extremely good talented person who's doing social media content, who's doing light design, who's doing camera work, who's doing marketing opportunities, so many approaches which can be also kind of original, because as I said in the beginning, you are not set by the standard or controlled by another company who's selling your format and, for example, would say in our format there can be this advertised because this is not part of our brand. With your brand you can choose what is part of it, so you have basically free hands to create all the set of instruments to fit and extend or perfectionize the set of skills, not just for the artist and their product, but also your product and the product of the other people who are involved in, or products who are involved in the show. And as you can see, I mentioned so many professions. Of course, I forgot about so many other professions, but there are other peoples in the industry who might shine, and maybe no one knows about them, or maybe before they tried something else, they came there and become famous. It can apply for the stylists who can find, like, this I will just do a little bit switch, but talking about stylists, this is an incredible underestimated profession at television somehow, because this is a special skill to stylize a person, an artist in front of the camera for the lights and so on, that the dress will work perfectly on the cameras, will work perfectly with lights. It's special materials, different kind of approach you need to do than when you, for example, go on catwalk or you just go to some event and people are taking pictures of you. This is completely different thing because it comes with different skill set. It's like when you say somebody can sing, but for example cannot perform. So it's probably not very suitable, for example, for Eurovision. This comes also with stylists, and to find amazing stylists, you imagine that you have, for example, 8 artists at the show, and you would say, I need 8 different stylists. Each person comes with their own. And also with this, you can see like who's more suitable, for example, for further television work, So imagine national selection as extremely complex thing, which also create a platform for this kind of bonding of profession. It's kind of like and I wrote this because I never remember this networking word. It's an amazing networking platform because you can reach out to completely new people, new skills, and those people among themselves also to find new job opportunities for themselves. So imagine the platform just don't work for the artists themselves, but all the other professions around them, to maybe for further cooperations and creating something completely new and better. You also creating competition environment where everybody wants to succeed better, and if the competition is transparent and it's clear and clean, you can really develop the whole industry, and not just the music industry, but all the surrounding industries around television itself, and therefore also the music one. It creates lots of jobs then, because it creates like so imagine one thing. You have, for example, 8 artists, right? And I will now tell you of like one artist, how many people surrounds one artist, and this is definitely not the final list, it depends on each artist, but imagine how many jobs with 8 artists you create for other people. So each artist might have a team: stylist, hairdresser, makeup artist, manager, social media manager or social media worker, social media camera guy, photographer, plus maybe a director, maybe a light designer, maybe some very specific profession also there. And also, bigger the artist is, very probably there are more people surrounding this artist who are paid by the artist or partly by the broadcaster, depends on the deal. But this is one. So imagine that about one artist there are other 8 people. That means 64 other jobs created, which is important because among those jobs you can also find gem people or people with talent, people you can really push their careers up and also find them for another specific needs in television, for example, or any other thing. Or those artists among themselves, they would see like, oh my god, this artist is amazing social media guy. He's very creative. So let's pick this guy also for me, and to see all this enhancing the whole industry up. Of course, about bonds I was talking, but it also created dreams. And I know that for you that might sound like a waste word, but it's not actually, because dream, hope, opportunity kind of, or I would really stick with the word dream, because if you create a big platform around your national selection, if there will be a huge opportunity to showcase original music, ideally a good one, if you put the effort for the show to look great, and then imagine some 13, 14-year-old person will see it and say, like, one day I want to be there on this stage, one day I want to be part of it. It's a perfect thing to do. You're, by just doing this, you creating you're giving impulses to the whole audience, to the whole viewership, to talents, to other people, that they will maybe start doing music. Maybe one day they will be the Eurovision winners. That you'll create this portfolio, you're creating the vision of this industry makes sense for them to work at. And I mean, again, the whole complex of the industry, from stylists to artists to directors to light designers to show designers to showrunners, I don't know, whoever else, that you create like a dream. This is a job I one day want to do, and I want to be best at. Like, this works like with football, right? Kind of like you see this Ronaldo or Messi, and you say, like, one day I want to be like them, or Mbappe, or whoever, this works exactly the same. One day I want to play on this stadium, one day I want to wear this jersey. And for the music, for the artist, this might be an amazing opportunity to go, but also for any other profession surrounding this or those projects. So this is very important to say, because this is a big strength of national selections and Made for Eurovision especially, which basically says you need to come with original concepts. You don't copy. You can be yourself, you do it your way, you bring in your approach, because the other shows, they're basically kind of try to copy something. They're not really creating big characters. It's very rare that somebody from those shows really become famous or become something else, something more, because more likely they came there and expect that they will become someone, but very oftenly they will just starlet for, maybe if they are very lucky, for 1 year, and then they will disappear because they don't create anything. They are just amazing looking voices, Nowadays, of course, a little bit different, but still, I think you got my point. So this is what I want to really empathize a bit, this originality factor for it, that it gives opportunity not to be exactly how it's expected to be, but come up with ideas around, in general, being original. I think this is very original, and also it can give you space to being very authentic. It creates purpose, national selections create purpose. I wrote, do we want to stay local, or do we want to export our music further? Shows like this, if handled well, can create a reason to create, getting better, compete internationally. And this is one crazy good stuff about Eurovision as I see it, that it might and it should actually be driven by the fact that this is the gateway for artists and for everybody, again, surrounding them, to show off to the world. It's a festival of music, but it's also a festival or expo kind of all those skills. And because it's exposed crazily with the marketing and with the TV exposure, and goes to all the countries, there is a big chance for other people to shine there and to export their work. And imagine if this is one of the biggest claims, and all the industries, especially the television industry and the music industry, are working on such a goal, that they just don't want to stay local, but they want to reach out new markets. And if we just give this purpose opportunity there, they will find out that there is much more money basically they can touch, that they can do much more businesses, they can expand. Maybe it will open opportunities and reasons for many new people who basically cannot do it locally because the market is already saturated. But now it's open spread, and therefore this is a dream purpose of Eurovision national selection, that also it attracts people from abroad to work with local artists and so on. So kind of creating much bigger competition among everybody locally, but also from local people to start being a competition for people abroad. And then the best wins, of course, ideally, because this is very subjective matter. Maybe I will get to this a little bit later. But you already see like how many things I mentioned, like all industry standards rise. And this is very important because with the original content, you must come with original ideas. The issue about formats and licenses and I would say even commercial world and commercial thinking is, especially here in Central and Eastern Europe, is don't invent things. Somebody already invented it, take the ideas, copy them because it worked, and you do it. And it kills creativity, it kills the passion for creativity, and of course it kills the chance for new ideas. With the original content, you have nothing else to touch, so you can get inspired, but you need to put all this into your context, in the context of the artist, in the context of the song, in the context, of course, of the budget and so on. But those things give you the opportunity and stuff to create a new original things, which is inspired by something, but also can inspire someone. It's not about taking a thing one-to-one and recreate it without knowing the further context or the context when it was originally invented for. This keeps people in really inventing and thing, and also this is a chance for creators to shine. And I think this is a biggest, from my perspective as a television producer, one of the biggest reasons why televisions should do such shows regarding if they are going after all to Eurovision or not, because they need new creators, then they need new competition in creating world, they need to create new groups of directors, light designers, and all those people connected to it. Otherwise, the situation will be, for example, like in Czech Republic, that there are kind of few people in the industry occupying the whole industry, but they are not reinventing the industry, they are not pushing forward, they are not bringing new ideas. That's why in here television is like 10-15 years behind the standards. You can see completely difference, for example, in Sweden, where this part of the show is extremely empathized, and there are several teams who are trying to bring their best ideas and new original ideas of camera work, of lights, of props, costumes, all combined together, ideas of choreography. See, I forgot about choreographers, for example, and dancers. You can see how many and how complex it might be to compete with the new fresh ideas. And this is extremely important for the whole TV industry, because now it's in the words that it copies ideas from somewhere. It doesn't bring in original ideas. Original, of course, is hard, but when you're having no other option, if you have original content, to create original concept about it, around it, surrounding it. So all of this, this is the big value of national selections, because they are pushing the competition, they are pushing the industry to be better every single year, to try it better, to try it hard, to try figure out if the simplicity is the key or complexity is the key or combination of both, or it supports the one thing what we actually want from Eurovision, kind of originality and quality. And quality really comes more likely only with competition, with something to be not, of course, you have exceptions for everything, of course, but the competition creates better results always, and better results for the viewer more likely, but also for the industry itself, and it can grow massively. And which countries are doing it? For example, Baltic countries like Estonia, for example, which is very small in compare, for example, to Czechia. I can tell when I'm seeing national selections, they are improving their visuals every single year, and somebody needs to invent them. Somebody needs to have this strong idea. Somebody needs to have the balls to do it. Somebody needs to really work about it. And it's a complex of people who needs to, after all, fulfill somebody's dream. And that dream then means also that this industry and people from this industry might be hired from companies who pay much more money for example, or they can win many prizes for being extremely visually stunning. This all prestige can come only with originality. Otherwise, it's fake. If you copy somebody's idea and say like, "Oh my God, look how we did it," it's like, no, we just actually copy it. We recreated something, but to come with your original concept, original idea, this is something completely different, and it's of course extremely challenging, and not everybody can prove that they can do it. This is so important. This is so important because, of course, also with such knowledges and more people involved, you can also, again, inspire so many others, and also the artists who are creating music, because they can think in more complex way. Anyway, let's move on. I wrote something which is called like risks of national selections. I will read it, and then I will always follow up with something I will add to it by my own thoughts. So, risks of national selection. So imagine you need to fill 10 spaces. So you need 10 songs, 10 artists, spaces with great music, as anything can win it, and therefore represent the country. With this comes a big thing. And I always say, like, ideal national selection is where you have 8, 10, 12, doesn't matter, extremely strong artists with extremely strong songs, which you don't care as a producer who will win, because you are sure that all of those kind of deserve to win it, and they all can do a brilliant result. Of course, it's extremely hard to fulfill, especially for small countries. We can then talk about big countries where such a goal should be kind of easy, right? But we can see that they also struggle. I will get to this later. But it's extremely important to find a strong possible lineup as possible, especially for this. Because what we are seeing nowadays, and this comes also because it's hard and because of so many other factors, that you have a national selection. You look at the national selection like, oh my God, there is maybe just one song I really like. If such a song wins and that song will be successful, then the national selection was a success. On the other hand, you can then tell the national selection didn't have really a big quality, and you will be right, because 9 out of 10 songs didn't have it. And the one song won, yes, perfect. Might be maybe selected internally then. But again, this creates, and if there is a continuation, and if the companies or the broadcasters are really thinking about it, they will be working very, very hard the whole year and the next year and the year after, and the artists will know that this work will come to continue. They will know that to succeed, they need to step up the game, and also the producers need to be tough on what kind of game and competition they want to create, and not really allowing everything to enter if it doesn't have the proper quality. With this, I will come to I will just bite it a little bit now, is that in the corporate environment, this is of course extremely hard to do, because the ideal world for working in this is that you have a perfect hierarchy. You have a showrunner who decides everything about the show, who has the last say, who has people who are giving opinions to the person, who can change, who can find those ideas and find better solutions. But if you need to go through all the commissions all the time, 10 people are deciding everything. First of all, no one has responsibility. Second of all, the average will get through this, the average, because there is no power for somebody to say my vision is this and we will fulfill this vision. And you can see it everywhere. If this hierarchy is not made properly, the averageness mostly wins. This is something we are living at in general. What if you don't have 10 great songs? We see this is the biggest issue of most national selections. There are 1 to 3 songs with potential being successful internationally, the rest is not. Again, if you know that you are doing the project and you are doing the project for long term, you will be long term, if you do it properly, be able to find better and better and better songs every single year, maybe better artists, the new one will pop out, new competition will rise up, because they would say, oh my God, if this might win, I have something better to offer. In ideal world, again, probably not be able to do it every single year, but with the proper work, proper going around the whole industry, and I was talking about this bonding and so on, that if the industry will find or the industry will find that this project really worth it. And it's not easy to get there. It's not easy to get there because this is just for the best, and that doesn't mean the most famous, but for the best of the bests. And the best is winning. I think this is very, very important. The best is winning, or the one of the best is winning. Then they will be motivated to come there and go with their skills, especially because all of this will create fuss about all of them around them. And maybe they will not win it, but they will receive 10,000 new listeners, which means they can maybe sell all their concerts, or they will be able to sell much more tickets to their concerts. Therefore, it's still a job, it's a business, and this part of it, it's extremely, extremely important and shouldn't be very underestimated, which I think kind of from Eurovision fans' perspective, this is all very oftenly forgotten thing to think about, of course, because you are focused at Eurovision. But for example, for me, this has much wider, much bigger potential than just Eurovision itself, and it can really create much better stuff than just focusing on one artist. Even it's logical, especially logical for you, but it makes no really sense to think about it this way. The sense is to create a big relevant thing that when you show those 8 are competing this year, immediately their numbers are rising. And this is extremely important. This is extremely important for the industry, because otherwise why would they take part if there are no profit? There is no profit for them to be part of it. And this also said that if you're having those conditions tough and the show will have results and make sense, that you will be able and you will push those all the managers surrounding it and who has much better connections around the music industry. Think about it as scouts, let's say. They will bring you better artists next time. They will be forcing themselves to find better artists, because after all, for them is also a profit, which would lead that everything surrounding this industry will have a potential to rise, grow, and bringing in better talent. And therefore, the country itself will be more competitive towards the other markets internationally and will have a lot to offer in general. So this comes basically only with the national selections, because internal selections basically cannot offer this scale and scope, if done properly, of course, if the national selections are done properly in the whole complexity. Let's continue. You must always count as a producer that anything can happen as you don't have full control. Of course, you can put better songs into better order, give them better stagings, but mind, it is a competition. If you don't keep it fair and transparent, you barely can build a successful show long term. And this is extremely important, and this is a big risk. It's a big risk of any show, and especially national selection, when you need original content, when you need to compete then internationally, is that it should be transparent. It should be the thing that every single artist, even the one who loses, said, yes, but I got the conditions like the winner. I didn't feel it was rigged. This is extremely hard to do, because of course losers very often feel sore, and also as a producer you need to create ideally a proper order because you're not just doing it for the artist, you're doing it also for the audience to feel entertained. So you always have this schisma, even though I'm a fan in such cases to feel a real competition, that everybody is picking their number by themselves to keep it absolutely fair. Fairness, in my opinion, in this case, it's long-term much bigger value than inputting yourself into the competition, because then, of course, you want the biggest numbers of shares, viewership, and so on. But for long term, you need the best possible content. And if it's fair, if it feels authentic, if everybody feels they had amazing time, but also they felt threatened fair, and the only thing why they lost because somebody was better, then you have much bigger chance to attract much more artists next time, because they will feel safe with your brand. They will feel safe that it wasn't rigged. Viewers, after all, will feel it, that it wasn't rigged, because they will feel this authenticity in it. They will feel fairness. They will feel the competition on a little bit different level. And that's the principle, which, for example, in commercial TVs, in my opinion, doesn't really work out because they never tried and they don't know how it really is. But for example, me, when I was producing in Czech television, Strictly Come Dancing, or Bake Off show, it was based on transparency, it was based on fairness, and therefore those shows are the most successful shows in Czech Republic. So by far, they are unchallenged, So this is extremely important, this authenticity long term, because you're building trust of the people who are coming to your show, and of course they will be after the show talking to each other, in their communities. So if they come with positive response, you will have positive response next time, and maybe even better. And you need to keep it. This is a treasure you need to really take care of. And also the viewers kind of will find this is a fair show. This is something I want to show to the whole family, because this also brings attractiveness. You cannot basically say this was meant to win. They put much more effort into this one, and they wanted to win. No, you will say like, oh my God, I can select my thing, and I don't feel somebody pushing it. I don't feel rigged. I feel it's real, it's fair, and therefore I'm building a trust for the brand. This is extremely important, but this is extreme big risk at Eurovision national selections, and maybe also for the Eurovision itself, but this is a little bit different story. But for the national selections, that if they come fair, if they play fair, they just work both ways for the artists, so they come again, or they want to come again, or new artists want to come again, and also the audience cannot wait for the second edition. This is extremely underestimated thing, the authenticity part, because everybody wants to basically do, or lots of producers, lots of TV, lots of broadcasters wants to do it for, we just want people to watch it now. They don't think about the fact that some things needs time to be built, and they need patience, which doesn't exist in this industry, but they need patience. So for example, when I read the comment that the Germany now needs to win, or otherwise they will not cooperate again, it's all like, for me, it's already, I'm not very interested, because first of all, those are unrealistic goals. They can be dreams, but unrealistic goals. And also, what kind of value it gives. Like already, actually, that's how I was, for example, working. I tried to have Eurovision in Czech Republic, knowing that the broadcaster will be doing it for at least 2 years in a row. So I can not just work parallel, work on one project for the upcoming year, but also for the next one, because it takes a lot of talking, you need to you need to talk about the future all the time. And if there is a future, there's a big potential and possibility that you will bring in better things than the other year, because somebody's already working on them, and you can work in parallel. It's very important, very complex, but no one is really doing it. Which is pity, of course, which is very pity, but long-term plans, long-term planning and visions have much bigger chance of succession than those ad hocs. Let's try this, and then let's try this, and then let's try that. It's not complex. It has no value, basically. We saw it, and we see it every year, many, many times. Another risk comes from Eurovision brand. Eurovision image is extremely important for artists and local producers and their chances of approaching artists in their country. And this is another thing, the Eurovision brand strengthness or weakness is the big commodity. That's why I'm always insisting on working with the brand much, much better, much, much wider, to give its prestige, which I see it's sliding down again, which of course is affecting national selections, because why would you be the artist who wants to go to Eurovision? So why to even bother to go to national selection? Because I don't want to be part of the bigger project, And then if you don't have this goal as an artist to win, to bring in the best game, then it makes no sense, right? Because you want the best, who wants to win, who wants to compete, to go to another further competition, which can also give their name another bigger purpose or opportunity, which still, 168 million viewers talks for itself. But still, the brand needs to be taken differently, taken care of differently, and be seen as a valuable thing, not like a joke, funny entertainment show, because otherwise we won't be able to rise its quality up. We won't be able to do it, because otherwise, and this is the biggest reason, like, you need the best possible artists to have the urge to go there, to shine there. But if they don't have it, you won't have them. They just will not connect their brand with it, because why would they do it? But without them, and I'm not talking about famous artists, but the best possible artists, without them you cannot raise the quality. And with a bigger quality, bigger viewership, bigger chance for the artist to shine, and bigger chance for every single national selections that they will be able to attract better artists, better producers, better anybody, because you want to shine there. You want to shine there, and you want to shine in the show, which is talk positively at more likely than negatively. This is nothing super obvious. It's real. I think everybody can agree with me on this point. If you don't, just write me in the comments below if you feel it differently, but this is at least my way, my vision of it. And talking about vision, one big risks for national selections, and I was a little bit talking about it already, is lack of vision. And this is a huge risk for many national selections in general, that they are just like, okay, let them sing live to be fair, or let's create a show, and if it will work or if it will not work, let's not do the show. This is, for example, what I was talking about Germany, lack of vision, Vision is super underestimated thing, because vision is not like vision for now. Vision more likely goes with some goal. One day I want to send a rocket to Mars. Of course you cannot do it now, but with the vision and with the purpose, of course the budgeting, but without this vision you will never be sending a rocket anywhere. You will not even have the technology. With this vision, and if somebody is working on fulfilling this vision, the technologies are growing, the experience are getting better, the new materials are invented, and one day, because of this vision, there will be a Mars travel. Of course, this is an extremely long-term goal, but in the case of speaking about Eurovision, I think you understand this parallel, is that if there is a vision for example, my vision was, I want to rise the Czech music industry to have value internationally long-term. This is a goal for 10 years, 15 years, maybe 20 years. But it's a goal which can be fulfilled, help with national selections and Eurovision, because it gives it somehow a value and purpose, compete, that people will gain slowly the experience. Imagine that you're starting from point zero or below zero even. And with this, with all of this hard work, with everybody included, you can slowly fulfill this vision and get there. Because, and that's what I'm saying, there are many other countries who are not having this vision. And you, at some point, you will get this competing strengthness against them. You will get this point that everybody will know that everybody involved in this industry is better than in the other country. Your starting point will be different because you build it, but you need to have the vision, the dream, and you need to work hard of fulfilling it. Let's do a national selection because people want to see it. It's no vision. It leads nowhere. It basically can create even a backfire. It's good to do steps logically. It's good to do steps properly, to really mind that every single wrong step in this doing can really jeopardize the whole vision. It must be clear that what is the goal, what is the long-term goal, but for this, of course, you need to have a support. You cannot do it yourself, and it must be the bigger thing. And that's why I'm talking about how it's very important to take the whole, not just television, but also music industry on one board, to say we have something important to do in here. We have something important which is bigger than individual goal, which is bigger than one CEO, which is changing every 5 years. It's important for the whole country, for the whole industry, audiovisual industry, to do and take part of this and do it properly and better every single year, to find new people, to teach new people, and also to have international possibilities that you will be hired from other countries to be supervisors. For example, you can see Sweden. Swedish producers are, and not just producers, but camera guys, light designers, and so many other people are involved in every Eurovision past 10 years. Why? Because first of all, they can speak perfect English. Second of all, they know the industry upside down better than anybody else probably. They are setting trends, so why not to hire them? Because they already know. They don't maybe have so much competition, but is any other country creating the competition for them? Does they really do it? And there is a big potential dreaming, which can be but only fulfilled by the dream, like Swedes had in the past. They had it and they're fulfilling it. That's why the whole industry there really works internationally. And it has results also. So this is something what can be built anywhere, but it will be hardly done if there are not original formats, like for example national selections for Eurovision, which can, where you can learn and where you can get better every single year, and you can create competition even among this industry in completely different professions. So you see how, all this circle is complex. If you put the scope a little bit wider, you can understand how maybe sometimes I talk about Eurovision as I talk, because it's not just about this one act, 3 minutes, not for me, and not for the people working around it. The real successful shows of this kind needs not just time but vision. The reason why are we doing it? Are we having plans with it last at least for 3 to 5 years? What outcome we can expect? What we want to learn from it? To put all those questions, it's extremely important. Do we want just viewership? Do we want to race? Do we want to find out who is the winner of who will people select because we are not able to select them internally? Then I think there is not a good reason to do national selection, like big national final or something like this. For this, it makes no sense. But do we have a bigger purpose in a long term for it? Then there is a big sense of doing it from various reasons. Many countries don't do such decisions based on some vision and strategy. They are like, let's try it now, and if this will work, and read it like, we will not end up first, or we will not qualify, we will cancel the show. Like, this is not a good goal. This is not a motivation. There is no reason for putting effort on it. And fear in this case don't bring better result. Fear is stuck. Fear moves towards bad decisions. Fear brings lack of responsibility because no one wants to be punished, right? So it's also the lack of this conflict on something which is extremely important in creating. And it's also killing the discussion, because after all, if you will take the responsibility which is given to you, you are at the risk any time. You don't need another point of fear or this kind of pressure. Of course, it's a good goal. The goal is important. We need to qualify, but I think this shouldn't be even said out loud. Like, everybody who's doing some competition wants to win or succeed. Also, to be realistic, is it possible for us to really realistic think constantly about 10th place or top 10 or top 5? Or, to put goals, we need to win or we need to be top 5. This is amazing goal to have, but does it reflect the long-term reality? Does it reflect the reality in general? Can we do it? Those are extremely big shoes to fill, So it creates pressure which also cannot be promised because you don't know what other countries, and there are many countries who are doing their job properly, will bring in. So this is hard to say, This is the Eurovision, for example. It's not kind of pay to win. I heard many producers talk about pay to win, but it's not about it. If it's pay to win, UK and Spain probably would winning it very oftenly because they invest a lot of money into it, right? But it's not about it. It's not about pay to win. It's about ideas, about good content, and good content can really come from anywhere, and the good content also can be produced in very various way, where the budget, for example, is limiting you, bring you completely different opportunities because you are limited. You can take it as an advantage also. It just depends on your creativity. So I don't like this pay to win words, because otherwise big countries who have money is always winning it, and it's not happening. They are not getting to top 10. So it doesn't work this way. And who say it, I just don't understand it at all, in my opinion. Now, as an artist, why would you connect yourself with such a brand? As a producer, what would you say to the artist? All successful shows have its continuity, and this is important to build around. like if you know for it, like I was talking about it, I will just very shorter say it again. If you do a show and you will say this is if there will be no success, we will not do the show anymore. What brand are you building? What brand are you building? Like what is it? Like you cannot go nowadays, for example, if you're a German producer and say like next year I really would like to cooperate with you. Next year I really would like to cooperate with you. Because why would you do it if you don't know if you will be doing it? What is the reason? But then how you can really work? Imagine football team that they would say we have a vision in 5 years, and they maybe want to attract an artist or a footballer who cannot join them now because they don't see the goal. I say like our goal is to be there, and he would say, okay, if you will reach certain point, I will come to you because I will trust your project. But you cannot build such a trust. You cannot build such a trust if you don't have a continuity and if you already know that you will maybe not having it. This is the weirdest unstrategical thing to do, in my opinion. And it makes no sense to do it after all. Why then not to select things internally? Really, better. Even though it might be a great selection and they might win, I don't know, but still, this makes no sense. Because it's not just a show. It should be an event for music. It should be special occasion, the peak of something, not just a show, but a brand. And from this is the biggest risk. It's just a national selection for Eurovision. No, this is the biggest music competition, the biggest music show in our country. Just to be part of it, it's a prestigious thing to be. This is the thing every artist want to be part of, taken part of, and want to do their best to compete there. Because otherwise, what is the purpose? Just to find somebody for representing the country? When no one really believes in it, where is the reason for it? For this, of course, you need to create extremely good conditions for everybody. And if you say something will happen, you must promise it will really happen. It's everything. This business is a little bit superficial about such stuff. You go there, you dance, you sing, shut up, and that's it. I think at some point you need to be the general, 100%. This is my job and your job is to be there. But on the other hand, I created you the best conditions I could for you to shine. Because after all, you want to shine, you will shine, I will be behind the camera, So it must be understood this way, and it must be for the artist who can also cope with the pressure. It must be for the artist who really wants to succeed, but wants to do it, not for the crybabies. This just makes no sense in business, We can be extremely inclusive, we can be extremely heartwarming, we of course have a soul, but also we must face the truth. The best can make it and the other will not. And we need to do such a selection to find out who really is the best. Because otherwise, why would the best want to compete with somebody who is not? Where is the reason? Where is the real competition? Where is the drama? This is where the drama comes from, Not when somebody has it certain that this person will win. So that's why we also need to add much bigger competition to Eurovision, because otherwise it will be very clear who might win, like with Lorin, for example. It was just clear. I know that for some of you it was Karja, but in the reality it was Lorin. And it was Lorin in general. Like her song, Tattoo, is still played in the radios. Like this is the proper win, It's not just the trophy you have. It's not just this kind of prestige, but it's also the reality reflection. And no one can say it from the last year, really. No one. Like literally no one. Which is, again, taking prestige out of Eurovision. And Eurovision needs more Lorins, than Nemos, honestly. And that takes me for this need of success. The other, and I think the last topic of this podcast. I know it's long, but it's a podcast. It's for people who are really enthusiasts. So I really hope you're enjoying. Any brands needs a successful story. In this case, it's not just Eurovision, but also increased number of artists which careers rise after being part of it. Success of the country and viewership, and most importantly, also recognition of unsuccessful artists in national selections. Therefore, not the winners. It might sound strange, but if broadcaster can create a format which will be a great advertisement for the whole lineup, they win. Because one will win, the main focus is there, but very important is, and I was talking in the beginning about this, extremely important is that if you take part of it, even if you're last, you get recognition. It really works this way. To be it's prestige to take part of it. It's the thing because Not all the news are just about one artist, but all the news are about all the artists somehow. Of course, the winner takes it all. This is we can fight about this rule all the time how we want, but this is not how it really works. The reality is different, but it's extremely important that all of them feels like a stars. All of them have this service. All of them are getting their numbers raised up. That's the reason why they go there, because they get this recognition. And this is a tricky thing, because this is extremely important for producers to take such artists, and outside is a crazy thing is happening over there. But it's extremely important for all the producers to be very, very tough and strict on what artists, and not even artists, but what songs and artists who are able to perform the songs they are taking in. And if the conditions are really strong and high, and the standards are high, everybody will know, and they will try to keep up the standards, because they want to be part of the show. But they can be part of the show only if they do. If they do really do their homework, if they are really worth it. If it's just for anybody, if it's just for an amateur who will go on stage and cannot even sing, not even talking about performing, but not even sing, where we are then, no prestige. Then you can say, I will take this John Doe from the street to go there randomly, and that's the feeling. So this is the tricky part of Eurovision, and this is a need of success, to not having such a thing at your competitions, to be taken extremely seriously. Even though it's hard, of course, everything what I say is an ideal world, right? If everyone gets their share of attention, their numbers will rise, can create a huge prestige to take part next year. In this case, it's very, very important that the purpose of such competition is not just to find an artist who will represent the country of Eurovision, as this might be tricky. Ideal example is, for example, Italy, where to be part of is prestigious by itself. Eurovision comes as a bonus, but to be part of Sanremo is vital for the whole industry and artists themselves. Of course, it's not just Sanremo. I would say locally it would be Albania. It's also Vidber somehow, even though it's a little bit different thing. And probably some other, I mentioned Dal from Hungary, which works without Eurovision anyway. And there might be many other competitions around Europe which I don't even know, which works this way and having this prestige. But this is extremely important, to be part of it, to create something which to be part of it is important. Locally, of course, but it is extremely important. And for example, in Czechia, we don't have such a show. We have 2 awards, but their relevance is both kind of zero, it doesn't reflect anything afterwards. And there is a huge hole on the market then. Huge hole on the market. If I'm doing at commercial television, I would immediately start doing a television show based on original content for music, because there is no one doing it, and this is extremely big hole on the market. This will also open a chance for various artists to enter, but you need also viewership. You need viewers to recognize such selection, like it, want to watch it. This is important that, of course, if long term in 5 years no one is watching it, maybe there's no one really needs it. No one wants it, no one's crazy for it, but it of course comes also with the marketing surrounding it. This can be really built up. I don't believe that it's impossible to build such a thing up. It's just a way how to approach it. Like anything, you need to create a program that will attract and entertain. It's not just about music. It's about, I'm a viewer, I want to enjoy it, I want to listen great music, but I want to great host, I want to laugh, I want to cry, I want to have some additional value that just listen 8 songs and then select, I want more. I want to be entertained. So it is a complex task to create such a show, but it's necessary, because it needs to survive even the fact country will not do Eurovision or not succeed at Eurovision. As you can see, to build a national selection, the proper one is a hard work, must be a hard work, which is extremely hard to be created in public broadcasters, especially in corporate times, which lacks vision. But also patience and also responsibilities are not on leaders, but no one, just the structure. This is the thing I was talking about, the vision. Vision hardly comes with corporate stuff. It comes with leaders, the people, the teams which are surrounded by people who understand the leader's vision. And it's hard to build such a thing in complexity, because you need so many people on your side to really fill it. And for such creating such a big thing, you need to really create, like, that the whole company, for example, is living with this dream and understands it, and understands that every single person in the team, regardless of doing social media, doing marketing, doing whatever, can rise on being part of this project. This is extremely important. Again, for example, in here, we barely can work with this, no, like, people are more likely hide their ambitions, not to lose the job, instead of, let's show your ambitions, let's do it, let's try to fulfill it, because it can, after all, prospect us all. It can do good for the project, and then you can rise, and maybe one day you will lead the project, who knows, or maybe you will do it in another country, or you will do something else, but you will rise, and you will help us all to fulfill our common goal. This is what we need to learn, I just wrote this, but I will read it. I am a fan of national selections, as they give me opportunity to see many artists, many approaches, and variety. Although they show to create strong ones, although they show that to create strong ones, it's not easy. But you, after all, need that one strong song as an outcome. As we can see, results differ, and sometimes will of the audience or will of the jury takes of the chances of success at Eurovision. What is then important, as if broadcaster can create more successful story than just a representative at Eurovision. And this is extremely important, the most important part, even though, and I can now, for example, use the example of Albania, right? Even though it's a little bit tricky one, but don't take me super literally. They had a chance to select an artist who would for sure make a big impact at Eurovision with the song, with the performance, with the presence. It was all complex, internationally understandable. They chose differently, and it might result that they will, for example, not qualify, even though they were touching top 10, top 5 position with the other one, 100%. For them, it's extremely important that they will invite such artists, for example, like was Elvana the next year, and that such an artist would wish and would like to go there again, and maybe even again once more, and other artists like this, because it's already extremely prestigious to be part of the show, and Eurovision comes as a bonus, something what you can hardly influence. If people at that moment like better you or the other competition which has a quality, a little bit different one from different rank, to be transparent and to feel that this was fair. It was fair that it happened like this. I will try next time, because otherwise, look at my numbers. Look at my numbers. They are brilliant. Everybody likes me. Everybody likes, okay, I could have a bigger exposure at Eurovision, but I already was exposed extremely well. And I'm glad for this opportunity, and I would willing to go there again. And this is extremely important part of national selections, because even if their outcome is not what you like, doesn't mean that it wasn't done properly, that next time the outcome will be something you like, because it's a little bit subjective, but it will be the outcome which really will attract the other artists, because they will talk to each other, and they will talk if it's fair, if it makes sense, and if it makes sense to create music for such a festivals, such national selections, and if lucky, be part of Eurovision family. And this is basically all what I wanted to say. So I might probably talk much longer about national selections, how they can be created, what needs to be prepared, how many professions need to be included, and so on and so forth. But I think this is already very, very long. I really hope that you're enjoying such a podcast, that maybe you would like to hear another one. Maybe you will have so many questions about it. Write them in the comments below and inspire me with those questions, so I can maybe update this podcast one day and maybe entertain you, even though I'm talking a lot technically. It's a podcast after all, and I'm glad that you was part of it as my viewers or listeners. And I see you, and I won't see you actually. I will see you. I see you next time. I never see you. You see me. See me next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.